everyone, and thank you very much for watching or listening. Liam Hartree back with you today with another episode of Presenting Champions for the Simply Inspired podcast. And today I'm joined by a very, very special guest. Truly an honor to speak with this man, the silent power, kickboxing legend, three-time world champion, European champion, Dutch champion, and more. Today's guest, Mr. Mourad Bouzidi. Hopefully I'm saying that the right way. Uh,
Yeah, almost.
Good, good. I was practicing, at least if it's close, you know. And I'm just going to say to our audience as well, one other thing. You don't need an introduction, but I love to say this because you've been in there with some of the best names
Yeah,
around.
definitely.
Also, for our audience, this man has been competing since the 1990s. He shared the ring with so many names: Michael Dutt, Fabiano Cyclone, Peter Arts, Gokhan Saki, Errol Zimmerman, Badr Hari, Min-Soo Kim, and so many others, guys. I mean, it's over 100 fights, so check the records. And as always, today we're not only going to be talking about fights, but we're going to be getting some advice for the young fighters. So, young fighters watching this as well, stay tuned. Anybody who needs some inspiration, motivation, stay tuned. And Champ, like I said before, thank you for making the time for this. It is
You're welcome. You're welcome.
absolute pleasure. So, obviously, we will talk about your fights and we'll talk about some of these highlights. As I said just now, before we were recording, you were telling me a bit about the gym, and I'd like to start with that. I'd like to start with some of the work you're doing now, bringing on the next generation. Can you tell us a little bit about what's happening with that, please?
9 years ago, before when I was active with fighting, I started my own gym in Haarlem, in Holland, and yeah, to teach the youth a little bit about kickboxing. But for me, the most important thing is the lifestyle, the mentality, the discipline, and yeah, that's something I'm trying to teach them and bring them. Yeah,
Okay, very good. Well, the next generation, they need people to look up to and everything. What is your favorite part of that role so far? Maybe you could share a couple of stories about particular fighters that you think have potential, or maybe it's something more general than that, and you just enjoy seeing people become the best version of themselves. But I'd like to go a little bit
definitely.
into.
Yeah, especially the last thing you said, becoming the best version of themselves. And for me, yeah, the kids that's training in my gym, they see me as a role model. So they take, if I correct them, they accept more things from me than somebody else. So I'm trying to correct them where I can, and teach them my way of thinking in life, and how you must stand in life, and especially the youth nowadays is a little bit difficult, with all the influences they get, and yeah,
Absolutely, yeah. There's a lot of not so good influences. So we need people like you because,
especially,
as you said, you're not just about fighting, you're teaching them about life as well. And
yeah,
these principles, I mean, not to go off topic, but having been around a lot of gyms, you see that whether people compete or not, when you see a kid come in there, who, for example, they're very shy, they won't talk to anybody, but they're training for, a month or a couple of months or something, they start coming out and talking to everybody. Just an example, but whether he fights or not, that's a very
yeah.
thing to be.
True, true, true. For me, it's not important when they come in. It's not important. I'm not trying to make everybody world champion. I try to teach them the way of life, and help them, for school, for study, for work, for just behaving on the street. And I think as a trainer, you're a big example of for the gym. And so it's a little bit, I think it's an important thing. I should not only focus on fighting and learning how to punch and do, but also mentality, and don't give up, and if you want something, the goal, you have to work for it, and those kind of things. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very, very special advice, as I said already, because they can take that and apply that to education, to business,
Yeah.
family.
Yeah. It's not only for the sport.
Mm, absolutely. On that subject as well, for the youth who will be watching this around the world in many countries, it's a big question, but can you share some advice for them, not only for the young fighters, although that's relevant, but also for the youth in general who want to succeed in life? Maybe.
You know, the youth nowadays, they want to reach everything, but putting less work, you know, and that's something that's really bad. You know, they want to become world champion, they want to get rich, they want to drive a big car, but they don't want to work for it. You know, and that's a very bad mentality. Now, if you want to reach something in life, I truly believe that if you're really focused on becoming a good fighter, or having a good job, if you work really hard for it, you can reach your goal. But that's the thing, you know, people don't like to work very hard, they don't like to have the struggles, and they just want the easy way, and that's not possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh,
Yeah.
Social media and all of these things, people see the result, but they don't.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe you've seen that thing where it's there's a like a drawing of an iceberg, and on the top you've got the success, but under the water you've got
Exactly. Exactly.
everything.
Exactly. And that's very sad, and especially now. Look, in my days, we didn't have Instagram, we didn't have Facebook, you know, and then it was another time, you know, and you just work in the gym. Nobody sees who you're in the gym. You know, you go in the gym, you train. Nowadays, they get in the gym to make a picture, you know, to post it on Instagram. Yeah, it's a little bit strange, you know. It's a bit it's just different.
Yeah, different world. Absolutely, I know.
Yeah. And they see people, you know, everybody's happy, everybody's rich, everybody's pretty on social media, you know, and that's yeah. I don't think there's a positive thing. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I agree because in all fairness, people need to go through hardships. People need to see
Yeah.
people struggling and then help them. People need to help themselves. All of these things.
There's
Um,
no shortcut.
No, no, no. It's good advice, and it's part of why I wanted to speak with you, as well as the many things you've achieved. It's also the methods behind what you've achieved. That's what I do with
Yeah.
these talks, and to be honest, that's why I do them is to inspire people. So when we go back to your own youth and your own beginnings,
Yeah.
we won't focus on this too long because there's some fights I want to get into. But just as we're talking about this, I mean. Did you always believe when you were growing up or when you first started in the sport that you would get as far as you did? Or was it sort of a step by step process of getting a bit better and a bit better?
Yeah, in the beginning it started, you know, I grew up in a very bad neighborhood in Holland, and you know, a lot of my friends, they all went in the wrong direction, and got in jail, got on the drugs and everything, and yeah. So for me, it was something totally out of the thing that we were having, you know. And yeah, in the beginning, I wanted to just fight and stand on a poster, and afterwards, yeah, I wanted to become the best, you know, and I wanted to do everything. Even if I'm not best, will become as close as possible, and then give it everything. And just like I said before, if you believe in yourself and you give it your 100%, you can become.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
There's something important that you said there, though, which I think is very important, is when you're saying about your environment growing up and all these bad influences and people doing all sorts of stuff, and obviously you managed to stay away from it and you managed to
Yeah.
not get to you. I know it might seem a bit obvious to you because you did it, but nonetheless, for people who are in that situation, for people who are surrounded by these influences and they need to keep their dream pure, if you like, they need to not let anything else touch it. Um, can you share some advice on that? Because who you surround yourself with, for example, is very
Yeah,
important.
but you know, your surrounding doesn't determine your destination. You know, uh, it can bring you out of direction. But if you're focused on reaching uh, your goal, it shouldn't be a problem. It's a distraction, and yeah, yeah. Your surrounding, it's difficult, if you're weak, you can go the wrong direction. But yeah, just focus on believing in yourself and becoming what you want, and yeah, just give it your 100%. And but that's in everything in life. It's just like I said before. It's not only on the fighting. It's on reaching, big businessmen, and reaching things in life. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Good advice. Very good. And the last question about that time, and then we'll go into some of the fights themselves. Were there particular people in kickboxing, or maybe in other fight sports, in boxing or something that you looked up to and respected at that time? Was there a particular person who inspired you to start all of this, or was it just something within you personally?
No, in the beginning I started within me, and afterwards there were guys like Peter Arts, Ramon Dekkers, Rob Kaman, who lately passed away. Those guys. They showed the way for us, and with Peter Arts I even trained, and he helped me a lot, and he meant a lot for me uh, on my way. Yeah,
But of course, you ended up fighting him. So,
yeah.
um,
That was it. That was in the tournament of glory, the 16-man tournament uh, in Japan, and the drawing. Yeah, they did the drawing, and it was my first match.
did it make any difference to you that you were fighting one of your
Yeah,
idols?
of course it's difficult, because I was very close with him, and we traveled a lot, we trained a lot together, and so it was a little bit difficult, yeah.
Yeah,
But it's business, so sometimes you have to, yeah, do what you have to do.
absolutely. Yeah, often I
Yeah,
imagine. But no, it was something I was going to ask you later. But we got into it of fighting people you respect. Now, obviously, with somebody who's had as many fights as you have, and you've won all these titles and you've done all these things, I often find myself saying this to people. I would love to talk about all of that. It would be amazing, but we'd be here until next week, next month. So
yeah. There's a
I
lot of fights.
Yeah, a lot of fights. You've been very busy and so many years you've been doing this. But what I often do in these situations is I talk to people about their proudest moments. Now, just to give that little bit of context, it's not always as literal as, winning a world title. Maybe that comes into it. But oftentimes I ask people this, and you never know which fights are going to come back. It can be something from their very early career, and they say, oh, I'm proud of this because something happened outside the ring, somebody passed away or I split up with my girlfriend or something, but I still won.
Yeah,
They have different reasons, you know what I mean. So for you, uh,
yeah.
probably a lot of moments, but which ones are some of your favorite memories? I'm sorry, it's a big question, but it'd be good.
No, no, yeah. There were a couple. Sometimes people say to me, "What was your hardest fight, or what was your best fight?" And it's a little bit difficult, but you know, just like an example you said before, I split up with my girlfriend when I had a young age. I was fighting Hesdy Herhes. Yeah, that was also for me a difficult fight, and I also had the fight with Errol Zimmerman in the Amsterdam Arena. It was for me a big fight because he was a big name for in the K1, and to beat him, that was very special for me. Yeah, and fighting Badr Hari was also a big name. It was for me. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
There were the big things in life. And yeah,
yeah, special moments,
yeah, definitely.
It's good, like I say, to pick a few. I mean, I'm sure there's lots and lots. And obviously, when we come to the world titles and things again, I'm sure people ask you about this a lot. And again, I try and make it a little bit different because people have seen the fights, they're very famous fights. So instead of that, when you became a world champion, especially the first time as well, can you describe the feeling or can you describe what goes through your mind in a moment when you've achieved something as big as that with so
Yeah,
many years of hard.
yeah. It's undescribable. It's very special. as a small kid, that's something you wanted to reach in life, and then definitely then finally you have the belt on, and then yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's something big. You
absolutely.
feel, yeah, that's the way of how people are. You put goals in your life, and when you reach your goal, you extend it to the next thing. So when I was small, I just wanted. When I was little, I wanted to stand on a poster, to just fight on a card and with my picture on it. And then afterwards, yeah, you want to become champion. After you become a champion, you become the next champion. You want to do this. You want to go in the K1. You want, it's every time there's something else. Everything, and that's how in life it goes the same way.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's important because in life you have to be moving forwards because as
yeah,
there's no such thing as standing still. You're either going
yeah.
forward or you're going backwards, and you know. So when you won the world titles after that, did it feel just as good, or did it feel less, or the same, or what?
No, no, no. It felt amazing. Yeah, felt very good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, it was big. It were big things, and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So basically, what I'm hearing then is, in a way, you exceeded your own expectations for yourself. I mean, as you say,
yeah. A couple of times.
yeah, wow, that's very cool. That is very,
Yeah,
and that's a good lesson as well, I think, for the young ones, as we were saying, not just with fighting, but with life as well. What you were saying there about the evolution and everything. Um, Okay, so we were touching on the subject of proudest moments, and you also touched on hardest fights. And I know hardest fights is almost a bit cliche because it doesn't just mean, who hits the hardest and things. As
no.
it can be something totally different, the technical side. It can
A
be,
battle between yourself. Sometimes you go in a fight and you have your own battle in your head, and things happening at home, or things just happened, and I had fights where I had to go in, and I was sick, and I just had to fight, and yeah, there's so many things. Yeah,
yeah. And again, that mental toughness, it sounds like it's something that you always had from when you were growing up. But do you, like with the nature or nurture thing, do you think you were born with that mental strength, or do you think you've cultivated it and built it up over time, like building your body, if that makes sense?
I think so. I think you build it up,
Yeah,
and it starts from the beginning. How it's like a computer. It's like how you program it, and yeah, you learn. I started training at Kamakura from Gerald Gordeau, an old UFC fighter, and his mentality, how he trains you and talks to you, and he turns. Yeah, that involves, and how you take things in life, and how you give it everything to reach your goals.
yeah. Well, yeah, he was very uncompromising, brutal,
Yeah,
wasn't he? I mean, obviously with the whole eye thing and all of that, but
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. But he was a good teacher. He was very good teacher. He was technically good, but also
yeah,
mentally, and just like how I said, just yeah, he really taught me how to give it everything, and then even if you after you give it everything, a little bit more, to reach your goals, and
yeah,
when I had one time, I had the flu and I was sick, and I didn't want to fight, and I said, I can't fight. I said, what? You're just going and you come. I'm coming to pick you up, and you're going to fight. And I was so sick. I didn't eat anything, and I was all throwing up and everything. And I went to the event and I won the fight.
yeah.
Those things he teaches you, and yeah, I think that's things that builds you up, and lets you see how things are, you know not only fighting, but everything is mentally. You know, it's also, yeah.
Yeah,
If you're strong in your head, you can reach a lot of things.
absolutely. And it's another thing. I'm glad we got to mention one of the teachers because obviously, as they say, no man is an island. You know, you need good people around you. You need good people.
Definitely.
Another thing that does fascinate me though is obviously handling, you know, as a fighter, handling the adrenaline and the sort of build up to a fight. And with this, I'm not really saying like fear because I know you go in there to win and that's what you go in there to do. But there's still the natural human response of feeling like the adrenaline, and you have to make sure it doesn't go up too quick so you get tired and all of these type of things, like a nervous energy, let's call it, you know. And I'd imagine as you've gone through your career, this changes. But I've been in the dressing room before big fights, you know, doing photos and doing other things that I do around the fight game interviews. And
Yeah.
the atmosphere is electric, and I'm always fascinated by how people handle that, and they have different ways. On the build up to a fight, especially I'm talking about now as it was getting close, like days or like a week or something, how do you stay mentally strong before the actual fight? It's one thing being in there, but it's another thing as it's coming close, if that makes sense.
Yeah. You try your best to control it, but it's just nature, you know. And how closer the fight comes, you become more uh, sensitive. You know, you don't take a lot of things. You're nervous. You react a little bit more aggressive to things, but still you're still in the normal life, so you have to control it. And but yeah, those things are a little bit it's a little bit strange to say, but yeah, because yeah, so it's a little bit difficult. Yeah,
No, it's okay. The reason I ask about this, by the way, champ, is I'm trying to show when I do these, one of the things people say is I try to show the human side of a fighter, if that makes sense. So it's not just being a tough person who gets in there and, you know, there's so many other things with the training, which we'll talk about the training in a minute, but it's
yeah,
something people don't see. Now, other fighters will know this, but fans or maybe people who are starting out as fighters and things like this, they won't know this yet. So it's important because it's, you know, you will have seen this because you trained
yeah.
people 20
You
years.
know, you know, it's fighting. Yeah. So look how bad your opponent is or how good he is. It's fighting. You never know how things can turn out, and uh, of course you become a little bit nervous. You become a little bit scared. It turns all ways, it goes all directions, and the fight you had, maybe you dreamed about it 1,000 times before the fight happened, and yeah, you how things will go and things will fight and how you're gonna hit him and how you're gonna get hit and things. So and during training you're getting more aggressive during sparring, those things, and you as closer the fight comes. Uh, as more sensitive you become to things, you know, and uh yeah, for me it was a little bit it was okay, you know. I could put it aside when I had to, especially when I had my kids, you know. And yeah, they gave me the rest, you know, when I was surrounded by my kids, and I could feel the calm, you know. And but as close as the fight comes, I distance myself from a lot of people and everything, and yeah,
It's interesting because, you know, at one point I used to think a long, long time ago that, you know, people like yourself, you didn't feel this, you didn't feel the nervousness. And as I've gone through my career, because I'm also a journalist and things, you know, I'm around a lot of people right before the fight. And, you know, you see that basically everyone feels it. Some people handle it well and some people handle it badly. And that's
yeah,
it. But it's still a good topic. And like we said earlier, it's a good topic for anything because not just for a fight. Somebody starting their own business, they're going to be nervous. Somebody's their exams, they're going to be nervous.
exactly,
Even getting married, you know, you're going to be nervous. So you have, you know, the people who achieve the most, they have to push through that.
yeah,
So that's my reason. Everything I bring up, it has a reason of the motivation. One little thing. I mean, before a big fight like that, right before, the day before, how do you sleep though, man? I mean, you're going to be going out there in front of thousands of people and everything like this.
Yeah.
How do you sleep, if you don't mind me asking this?
No, 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 of course. Yeah, I slept okay always and didn't had anything, and especially in the end of my career, I had 120 fights. So for me it was yeah.
Yeah,
But still, I had the fight. Uh, Last week I had the conversation with somebody in my gym about it, and that you need the yeah, the nerves, you have to be a little bit nervous before a fight because otherwise you're sleepy.
yeah,
So I one time I went in a fight. I was fighting a guy. I beat him twice, and it was my third time fighting him. And I went in the fight. It was like, yeah, just another day at the office. I was like, yeah, it was easy. And in the second round, I got caught by an 8 count because I was too sloppy. I was too relaxed, and so from that fight on, I remember, it always said you had to be focused. You had to be. You need the nerves. You need to be scared. Even if you don't have it, you have to build it up for yourself. What if I get punched, and what if this happens, and what if that happens? To keep you sharp.
yeah. Yeah. It's an important, like I say, it's an important lesson for life because it's something that everyone will experience, but only some people will be able to push past it, and some people step away from it. And
Yeah,
it's a special kind of person like yourself to push through it so many times as well.
yeah,
Obviously, not only once or a few times, but hundreds
yeah,
of times. I mean, um, now, another thing about this, because I focus a lot on the mindset, that again, for you, it's something you experience. I hope it's not too obvious, but I think it will interest people. I've seen fighters, obviously, the best ones have like a laser focus. They're walking out to the ring, and I'm talking about the fight night now, and they're fighting, and their focus never wavers. But I've seen other guys, with the crowd and with especially like a really big crowd, and they struggle with. Um, all of those eyes on them, basically, sometimes, especially when they're doing it for the first time. And although it might be a little bit abstract, I'm curious as to how you have how you develop the temperament to focus on it, even when all those people are cheering, and even when, and this one I'm asking because there'll be some fighters watching this, right? Maybe they're on like a small show or something with like a couple of thousand people or a couple of hundred people or whatever. But obviously they want to get to the really big shows where it's on TV, where it's in
yeah,
arena, 30, 40, 50,000, whatever, and you've done all that. So I was
yeah.
curious to focus on how you don't let that waver, even when there's that many people there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. This is something. That's a big, good question because a lot of guys that sometimes I'm watching guys fighting, amateurs and they get too much involved with the audience. They let them take over their fight, and that's not good. You just need to focus on your own plan. I did the mistakes also when I was younger. I let you trying to play with the crowd and everything. And it's important that they come also to sell out the event, but you should do things in life for yourself, and that's also with the fight. The moment you're coming up for the fight and focus on yourself. And for me, it was I shut down everybody in the moment I step in the ring, and I focus on myself and on my trainer and my opponent. Um, yeah, you should. Yeah, you should just leave it for yourself and then not the audience. Yeah, and when you're fighting for your own crowd, you're trying to prove yourself, but you don't have to prove anything to nobody. You have to prove yourself for yourself and nobody else. So you see a lot of guys, yeah, they step in, they try to prove themselves for everybody's watching, but yeah, just do it for yourself and focus on yourself and not just showing off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, one of the things I've noticed when I speak to a lot of guys, especially from, your kind of generation, and it's a bit different now, is that when they're doing it for themselves, they come out of their career at the end happier, I would say, with what they've achieved, whether it went
Yeah.
well. Whereas now you see, like, you go in the gym, you were saying about this earlier, and there's a bit of sparring, they get a bit of blood, and then they're posting a photo saying, oh, look, I'm a killer, I'm this and that, and all the other. And I think, well, it's not about
It's
that.
bad.
It's about what's in here, because you walk
Yeah.
in and whether you gave it everything you could and all of that stuff. You don't, it's not up to anyone else to say any of these things, even judges, I mean, it's
True.
up to you. So,
Yeah.
and I just to highlight that for our audience, I would say that whatever people do in life, they should do it for when they look in the mirror, what they see back, not
Exactly. Exactly.
this person says this about me, this person says that about me. Yeah, it's a good lesson, man. I like that.
Yeah. 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 But just like we discussed before, and they get too much involved with the social media and people trying to prove now. Let me the nowadays people try to show off to other people, and try, it's like social media, it's a lot of things, and people don't focus on themselves.
Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, but like we said earlier, being the best version of yourself, you can't compare it to somebody else. It has to be just the best you that you
For
can be.
your, but also for yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
For yourself. Like I was saying, when you look in the mirror or whatever, not just that, but in the quiet moments when you go to bed, before you head, those quiet moments when there's no one else, you know what you're made of or not,
Yeah. Yeah.
So people have to learn that, and it's
Did you give it your everything? Did you give it your best? That's the things. Yeah.
yeah, and it's funny because now there's so much. There's another thing with this is there's so much scrutiny, there's so much judgment, if you like. I think people are afraid to make mistakes because they think that people will judge them. Where I think in your sort of era, um, in a way, maybe there was less doubts. Obviously, there's always going to be doubts, but like you said, you go in the gym and there's not loads of people watching you in the gym, so you can try something, and if it doesn't work, and there's other
Yeah.
people there who understand what you're doing. Whereas now, because it's broadcast everywhere, people,
Yeah,
I think,
in the times that I was fighting, it wasn't that popular. It wasn't that. Nowadays, everybody knows kickboxing. Nobody knows everything about kickboxing. They can tell you how to do it, how this happens, and everything. So yeah, at that time, yeah, it was different. Uh, Not a
yeah.
lot of people knew about it and were busy with it, and knew about fighting, about matches, about organizations, and yeah, it was.
Well, that's the other thing, though, isn't it? I mean, in your era and before, I mean, people had to do it really for the love of it. I think that
Yeah.
I've spoken to most guys, where from that era, even with MMA and things like this, 'cause I know you had a couple of MMA fights and things, and I've spoken to guys who were doing it like before it was legal or when it was first made legal and all this, and back
Yeah.
then, money. Whereas now, I think a lot of people look at it almost like a bank robbery where you go in there and you say, I'm going to knock this guy out, I'm going to get a bunch of money, I can retire, I can go to the Bahamas or Costa Rica or
That's
somewhere.
that's an illusion they're living in.
I know, but you
Yeah.
see a lot, don't you? See, I mean, I think it's why these YouTubers are fighting, and it's like, it's a different mentality. They think, oh, I can take from it. Whereas obviously in your era, you were giving to the sport because you were putting the best fights and you were then helping the sport grow
Yeah.
by being the best, and yeah, it's a different. I mean, what do you make of the fighters nowadays in terms of like the changes, not only with the social media, but there's changes in training, there's changes in the way people do things. There's a lot of different opinions on nutrition and strength and conditioning and every type of thing. It's evolving. There's probably some good and some bad in that, but
Yeah.
focus on the training. Maybe you can share a couple of things you like.
It's involving, and then the thing, and then I don't think there's a bad thing, you know. I think there's positive, you know. It's not only focusing on the kickboxing. It's only focusing on nutrition, focusing on. It's like a machine, you know. Your body is like a machine. You should know what to put in, what to put out, and how to use it. And I think that's only positive.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's that side of it. I think.
Because and at the time when I was beginning, like power training, strength training, yeah, there was something. You can't do strength training because you will become slower. That's something people didn't almost didn't do.
Mm, yeah,
And nowadays, you see a lot of people that almost do the half, they do the same strength training as the kickbox training.
yeah.
You know?
I mean,
Yeah,
it's something that like there's good and bad. Like personally, I think the social media, in terms of fighting anyway, I mean, it's a tool. It's just a tool, but how people use it is not the best way sometimes. But like with the training, maybe it's good because it's more scientific and people understand it.
yeah,
Which is good. But at the same time, like I said before, when you were doing this, I think I mean this in a respectful way. It was less complicated. You just had to fight and win and get on with it and prove yourself. And it was hard. I'm not saying that, but there was less of all of these, different things. Because now you meet people and they have a strength and conditioning coach, a nutrition coach, a
yeah,
mindset coach, a manager,
yeah, yeah,
sometimes more than one manager, and you think, well,
yeah.
all of these people, I know they're trying to help, and all of those professions have their place, but sometimes I feel like it can be pulling people in different directions at once. I've seen
And
that with
it's
fight.
difficult to put them all in one direction.
Yeah,
It's difficult if you have a different trainers. You know, it's difficult.
yeah,
I had I think I had it also with a couple of times. You know, and then you have a training telling you this, a training telling you that. That's a bit That's a bit difficult.
yeah. Because you,
Yeah,
you need advice from good people, obviously. Like you were saying about Gerard
but
earlier.
the right advice.
Yeah, the right advice. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And even if it's from different people, it has to unify. It has to be, in the same direction. And
yeah,
did you have like in your career do the business side? Did you have managers and stuff in your
yeah,
business?
yeah. I had a manager. At first, my own trainer Gerard Godot did my management, and
Yeah,
afterwards I was with it Showtime.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
With
Okay.
Showtime, Simon Rus
Mm,
did my manager. After that, he stopped. He sold everything, and Raymond Daalder,
yeah.
he became my manager.
Mm,
So until the end, I worked with Raymond Daalder
mm.
as my manager. Yeah,
Yeah, it's good though because you had people around you who, from the sound of it, they had your best interest. They had
yeah,
the in the game. I think it's different when they invest in a fighter personally. And it's not just business. If that makes sense. I mean, they had your best interest, person,
yeah.
the right fight,
Correct.
right time. Yeah, it's important who you surround yourself with.
Yeah,
So I don't forget about it. A fight specific question for a moment. Obviously, with the different styles of kickboxing, I mean, you know about this. Like in some times, it's just the punches and the kicks at different heights, and sometimes
yeah,
they have the knees, and you have other
yeah.
variations. Did that ever matter to you in terms of having a preference for like one style over another, even though they're similar? Or did you enjoy everything regardless because a fight's still a fight at the end of the day? Or did you have a preference with the rule sets at any time?
Do you mean about the rules or specific kind of style or what?
Well, I suppose it can be both because obviously, when you competed in a fight, there's some different variations in the rules, right? So some fights you have knees
Yeah,
and things.
for me, I prefer the five round fights,
Mm,
5 times to 3 minutes. That was just normal in that time. You know, if you became A class fighter, it was 5 times 3 minutes, 5 rounds 3 minutes, and it just became normal. Nowadays, it's only 3 rounds of 3 minutes. So
yeah,
I prefer that, and also just the Muay Thai rules, with the clinching, with the knees, and grabbing the legs, kicking, yeah, those kind of things. Not especially the elbows, because I think uh, yeah, I think that brings a lot of injuries.
Mm,
But just like the style we had in the Netherlands at that time, the Muay Thai rules with clinching and kicking, everything. Yeah, I think it's a bad things that they put it away, and they don't want to see the clinching anymore. But that came with the K1, and yeah, they didn't want that. And then the K1 also brought the 3 rounds, and
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's the changes and the different styles. It's just
yeah,
your perspective on this.
yeah. I think the 5 rounds brings up who really prepared good for the fight. I think 3 rounds is too short. With 5 rounds, you can really damage somebody. You can really show the difference, and
Mm.
yeah, yeah,
The other thing I want to mention that with fight specific as well. I mean, we've talked about some of your best wins and being a world champion and the European champion and all of these things, but to be a true champion, you have to bounce back from losses and tough moments or
yeah,
fights.
yeah, yeah.
And with yourself to give this, because again, for the young fighters, we can't say to them, "Oh, it's all going to be perfect." I mean, you're going to have some
No,
bad nights as well. Not to dwell on that, but to dwell on how you came back from it, you kept your confidence. Um,
yeah,
how did you do that? Basically, that's another aspect of mental toughness.
yeah, definitely, definitely. Things accidents 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 happen. We call it in Holland. We say they're in a small hook. And in a small corner. But things happen, and life isn't always smooth and isn't always straight. And sometimes you have a hard time, or you get knocked out, and I think it's the most important how to stand up, and just keep moving, keep just like they said in the movie, just keep moving forwards. It's not about get how hard you get hit, but yeah.
Yeah, how
So
much you can take and keep moving.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so for me it was yeah, just I want to prove myself every time things happened, if I got knocked out or got punched or I lost a fight. Yeah, then I had to double the focus to just to prove myself.
Yeah. Well, again, it's an important part of your legacy, I would say, because what I mean by that is the consistency, because you weren't just at the top for a little while. I mean, you were doing this for years and years and years, and that's a
Yeah,
whole different thing. You see some guys who win something, but then they disappear, whereas
yeah,
doing this for, I mean, a long, long time. So
yeah.
the top and staying at the top, it's very special. Very
But-
special.
So if you're staying a long time at the top, you can't always win, and you know and I fought 120 fights. I never in my whole career, I never backed down from a fight, or refused opponent, even if they came on a wrong timing. I don't know if that's smart or not smart, but I never refused a fight, and then,
Yeah.
yeah, that was just the mentality, and yeah, for me it was always just go.
Well, I mean, it's that's got two sides to it, hasn't it? I'd say for the sport and for what the fans want to see and everything like that, it's definitely the best thing to do. Um,
Yeah,
Taking the biggest fights, the best fights, I mean,
yeah,
as long as they're at the right time. You see some guys who take too many fights too soon and they get sort of
yeah,
chewed up and spat out by the game, as they say. But as long as you build up to it and you're ready, taking all
yeah,
that's what's wrong with boxing now. For example, not so much with kickboxing, but there's too much avoidance in people that
yeah, yeah.
hope it would be
But the
south.
same thing happens also in kickboxing. A
Yeah,
lot of fighters get avoid. A lot of fighters. they turn around and they choose their opponents, and that's sometimes sad, you know.
Yeah, yeah, it's happening, you know. Hopefully it won't happen too much. So I don't forget about it. We'll move to the last couple of topics, but just so I don't forget about it, you tried MMA as well as kickboxing.
Yeah, yeah.
What inspired you to do that and do something different, something new compared to what you were used to?
You know, when I was younger, I trained at Kamakura from Gerald Godot, and you know, he was also a mixed martial artist. He came from the Kyokushin karate, did Safat, did MMA, and we had there were also MMA lessons. And in the period I didn't had a fight, I wasn't in preparation. He told me always that I had to do one time in a week MMA training. He said that's good for you, for your strength, and to learn things. So that's something I did. And in that period, I didn't had a fight. So yeah, I went in an MMA tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that? I don't know. Maybe I was maybe 14, 15, 16 years old, something like that. Yeah, very long time ago. But
Oh,
it's nice, you know. It's nice, you know, to start to learn different things and yeah,
yeah, it's good. It's good. I mean, being out of your comfort zone, trying something a little bit different, it's,
yeah, learning new things and
yeah,
yeah,
evolution again. Evolution, you see, it's all part of the journey and everything.
yeah,
Good. So coming back to the kickboxing and everything like that, I mean, sort of a deeper question for you. Now that you're retired from it and you're running the gym and you're doing these things, how do you think you are remembered as a fighter? How do you think you will be remembered? And bear in mind, I know that you didn't do it for that. As we said earlier, you were talking about your inner journey and
yeah,
doing stuff, but still, it's important because I mean, I would say you're one of the most respected kickboxers around. You have your place in history, so on and so forth, but it's different for you because you've lived it. So how do you feel about your legacy and what people will think of that, not only now, but as we go forward in time as well, if that makes sense?
yeah. But for me, that's a very difficult question. But for me, you know, what I keep in mind for myself is that I gave it everything. You know, I gave it everything, just like I said before. You know, I sometimes I didn't have the right options. You know, with trainings or maybe with the trainers or uh, with getting the opportunity to fight a good fight and but I gave it everything and then yeah. So for me, for myself, that brings me a lot of confidence and a lot of yeah, I accept it for myself. But I think yeah, people remember me as technical fighter. I was very technical that days and yeah,
Well, it's a deep question, but it's something I think is important because, don't get me wrong, I think you'll be remembered like that in terms of a true old school fighter, somebody who gave it everything, somebody who fought everybody, obviously the technical aspect, all of these good things, But I find it interesting sometimes to ask people, I don't always ask people that, but I just thought with you, it's an interesting reflection. Uh,
yeah.
Something else I don't usually ask people, but I'm going to ask you if you don't mind. With your family and everything, with your children, do they? I don't know how old they are or anything, but are they at the age where they want to fight? Do they want to follow in your footsteps? Would you allow them to follow in your footsteps if they wanted to?
My daughter is 7 years old, and my son is 11 years old, and he likes soccer, but he's also training kickboxing. He did one match. Uh, he likes it a lot. He wants also, but he prefers the soccer now.
Mm,
So for me, yeah, I want to let him do what he likes. You know, I'm not gonna push him in any direction. Uh, but I want him to train. Doesn't matter what kind of sport it is, but I want him to train, and I want him to give it everything, just
mm,
like I mentioned before. And Yeah, just keep him busy, and if you yeah. For me, at the most important, I let him focus on his school, and fighting sports is nice if you reach the top, if you become the, but along the way, it's very hard. A lot of people fall out, fall out the ship, and it's not that easy,
Yeah.
and yeah, would you like that for your son? It's
Well,
hard. It's
yeah.
difficult.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have kids yet, you see. So, but
Yeah,
when I do, only if it's something they want to do. If they want to do it for the right reason and it's something that's authentic, like we were talking about earlier. So it's not something that somebody said you should do this or you should do that, but it's something
yeah,
I would say, yeah, okay, go for it. But you have to be prepared for everything that comes with that. But if I would never, if I had kids, I would never push them to do one thing or another. I would
yeah.
what they want to do and then support them with that personally. But
For me, the same. Uh, yeah, yeah.
but it's
You
interesting.
know, he's still in the beginning. He's still young, and to look forward and see what he must sacrifice to reach everything, and yeah, it's a lot.
Well, but like we said at the beginning, the training side of it puts them in good stead, as they say, for life in terms of because then the discipline and all of these things, uh,
Yeah,
the education that comes into business or anything else.
yeah. That's something I'm teaching him, because he trains in my gym every time. So he's in training. He's training kickboxing. He likes it. Uh, Next month there's some guys who's gonna fight. He asked me again, yeah, can I fight also? I say, yeah, if you're well prepared, you can have a fight again. And
Yeah,
yeah, just like you said before, I'm not gonna push him. If he wants, he has to show me that he can do it, and then I'll help him on the way. It's not only my son; it's all everybody in my gym. If they show me they want to give it their all, I'm there for them.
absolutely. Yeah. No, it's an interesting question because I've seen a lot of situations where there's a son of a father who was like a top fighter, and it varies. Sometimes they don't want to do it. Sometimes they want to do it to keep him happy. Sometimes they achieve great things. A lot of times they can live in the father's shadow, to be quite honest, and they often
Yeah,
can't live up to what he achieved. And sometimes it's bad for them. I've seen fathers force their sons into it. I've seen fathers say their sons
yeah,
never going to do it. I mean, it's different for different people, but I think the way you've got it, the balance is really really nice, if I may say so. Because
yeah,
it's families, but it's a nice way of doing it. So I think we've covered most of the topics that I had in mind. I mean, hopefully we've covered some topics that are a little different from what people hear in
yeah,
which I try and do that so it's a little bit
yeah,
more unique and it's a little bit more meaningful that people can learn from it and things like this. I will say last couple of things. Obviously, if people want to come and train at your gym or people want to ask you for advice, you're on social media. Most people will know that. Anybody who doesn't know that and they're hearing this for the first time, what's the best way that they can reach out to you?
They can look me up on the website www.bouzidijim.nl. They can visit me in my gym. They can mail me. I'm always standby.
Absolutely. Yeah, I wanted to mention that because I know you're not exactly hard to find or anything, but it's just that you're also very open, in terms of people can contact you, like I contacted you for this, and not
Yeah,
everybody is like that, when they get to the top. So I think that's also very good.
but that's something that's very wrong, and you just have to stay on with your feet on the ground, and just be open for everybody, and we all started from something, and if you can help somebody else, we help each other, and that's something important.
It's true, being humble. I mean, I always say, be good to the people you meet on the way up, because you meet the same people on the way down, and
Definitely.
you know,
True.
and it doesn't mean failure like on the way down, but it means that you'll always meet the same people later in life, and things like,
Yeah.
because you have to be, and like you said earlier, what you put out into the world, we reap what we sow in life. If you're good to people.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a spiritual person anyway, so what you give to people is what you get back one
I
way.
truly believe in that also.
Yeah.
I really truly believe in that.
Yeah. And it's, you see people helping people and doing these things, and it comes back to them many times more. People help them in their times of need, and you see people, nasty people doing things to people, and people will say to you, "Oh, they got away with this, they got away with that."
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's the public. You see it behind closed doors.
Yeah.
It always comes back, man.
Yeah. It's good. Yeah. What you give, you get back.
Yeah, a little bit of philosophy. Well, anyway, I'd like to thank you very much for your time, and I'd
You're
like
welcome.
for being so open about your life as well. The highs, the lows, all the different things. So I appreciate that.
Thank you for your
Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to the Simply Inspired YouTube channel, and there'll be more videos coming soon.